Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm going to be I had a fun time talking about the Orioles yesterday, talk about their future a little bit. I want to talk about another team today. Another team that is not as bad as the Orioles. That's not good this year, but maybe they got something a little bit to look forward to. That's the Chicago White Sox. I forgot to get my baseball, give me 1 second. Here it is, White Sox baseball. I do have a White Sox baseball, like I said in one of the first few videos. I don't have baseballs for all the teams, but I do have one for the White Sox. Also wearing a tie-dye shirt today, as you can see. I'm not really sure why I am, but it is very comfortable. So the White Sox last year, I had my first cue card, note card right here, went 41 and 121. Worst season ever, most amount of losses in a 162-game season ever. Can the Rockies this year break that? Not really sure. But as you can see here, 2025, a little bit better. 47 and 83 with 32 games to go. Maybe they can reach 50 wins, 55 wins. I mean, those aren't good seasons, but they are better than what they were last year, a lot better. And last year, there wasn't a lot of hope for the White Sox. I feel like there was not really a whole lot to get excited about when watching them. Maybe, possibly, get excited about seeing Garrett Crochet. But even then, he had an innings limit. Eric Fetty, not a whole lot to get excited about. But I think there are some guys in the White Sox minor leagues that you can get excited about. Minor leagues, they came up from the minor leagues, and now they're rookies. So we're going to talk about some of those guys. Let me set the baseball down, get the cue card here. Here's some slash lines. First one's batting average, which is basically how often a player gets a hit. Second one's on base, how often a player gets on base, which is like drawing a walk or getting hit by a pitch. And then slugging, that's, like I said, slugging values, like how many bases somebody gets for a hit. Like a home run, which is 4 bases, would be valued more in slugging than a triple or a double or a single, and so on and so forth. So here is some slash lines. I'll get up close if there's anybody who wants to read it. I really used all of this card. There's barely any white spot left. We're going to start with Colson Montgomery. Colson Montgomery, a little bit of a low average, 229 average, 288 on base, but a 528 slugging. That's the number you want to pay attention to. Colson Montgomery has been hitting a lot of home runs for the White Sox, and he's probably the most exciting part of this team. And it's interesting to me because, let me scoot over here, he wasn't very good in the minors. I remember him struggling in the minors last year, this year, and you're probably thinking, well, if he's struggling in the minors, why would he succeed in the majors? But he seems to have figured it out. We're going to talk about his OPS plus in a second, but like I said, he had 12 home runs in 41 games, first 41 games of his career. Really good. Edgar Quero, one of the 2 young catchers for the White Sox, batting 281 with a 348 on base, 380 slugging. One of the things I noticed it feels like Quero doesn't have a lot of power in the majors right now. But I believe personally that there is space for high average, low power guys. Not that Quero can't grow into, not that he can't fill out and make swing adjustments to have more power, but I definitely think, especially if you're hitting 281, which is high in the majors now, there's definitely going to be a spot for you in the major leagues. The other catcher, Kyle Teal, batting 271 with a 367 on base, 400 slugging. Teal acquired in the Garrett Crochet trade. Not the only guy acquired. Braden Montgomery and I think his name is Wickelman Gonzalez was also acquired in the minors. Wickelman Gonzalez made it to the major. The Braden Montgomery's in the minors. They could have 2 Montgomerys at some point. But Kyle Teal, another catcher. It is interesting to me. I am curious what they're going to do with Quero and Teal. They both performed pretty well at the majors, and they're both catchers. And there's only one catcher that plays at a time. So is one of them going to learn first? Are they just going to have him DH and catch and alternate? Interesting topic of conversation, I would feel like, maybe when the White Sox get a little better. But Teal, I looked at his... on Baseball Reference, I looked at what positions he's played. Apparently, he's played an inning in left field on the major so far. So I don't know if he's going to be playing there a lot or if they're going to teach one of them to play first. I don't really know. A couple of other lesser guys who came up but still had some impact on the Sox this year. Brooks Baldwin, 240 average, 289 on base, 394 slugging. Chase Mydroth, 255, or Meadroth, I'm not sure how you say his name, Meadroth or Meadroth. 255 average, 336 on base, 321 slugging. I said that Cuero doesn't hit for a lot of power, or at least doesn't feel like it. Meadroth definitely does not hit for a lot of power with that 321 slugging. And then last but not least, I wanted to mention Miguel Vargas. Now, Montgomery, Cuero, Teal, Baldwin, Meadroth, however you say his name, were all rookies that came up in 2025. But Miguel Vargas has been in the majors for a few years. He was on the Dodgers. Dodgers, a lot better team than the White Sox, of course. And when he came to Chicago last year, there was a lot of talk about his attitude and his body language, and he wasn't performing very well at all. But this year, he's improved. 233 average, 314 on base, 399 slugging. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he definitely looks a lot better than he did last year. So we're going to talk about OPS plus and games played. Colson Montgomery, 122 OPS plus, which again is 100 is league average. So if you have a 122 OPS plus, you're 22% better than the league average hitter in 41 games. So small sample size, but 12 home runs as of yesterday. These stats are from yesterday. He hit another home run today. White Sox today, as I film this, they destroyed the Twins 8-0. But power seems legit. We know Colson Montgomery has good bat-to-ball skills and that he has great power. We've seen it before. He didn't do it too well in the minor leagues, especially last year. But he's looked good in a White Sox uniform this year. Edgar Cuero, 104 OPS plus in 82 games, so he's a little bit closer to average. Like I said, I think there is room for guys like that. Maybe Cuero can fill out and get some more power as his career goes on. But right now, he doesn't have a lot of power. Kyle Teal, the other catcher, like I said, 115 OPS plus in 50 games played. He has shown some power. And then the other three guys are below average. Baldwin has an 89 OPS plus in 78 games. Meadroth has 86 OPS plus in 91 games. Like I said, Meadroth, I don't know. He doesn't really slug that much. He doesn't really hit for power all that often. And then Miguel Vargas, 98 OPS plus, 116 in 116 games. I think that if you told White Sox fans before the season started that Miguel Vargas would be a league average hitter, probably be pretty happy with that, considering how poorly he looked in 2024 in a White Sox uniform. So that's a little bit about these White Sox hitters. I will say that I don't know how good the White Sox will be in the future because their pitching isn't very good right now. Shane Smith, Sean Burke, two of the guys who have shown some potential. Shane Smith even named an All-Star, very controversially, but not the most controversial All-Star of 2025. That was Jacob Mizorowski. But Shane Smith named an All-Star, and Sean Burke. We've seen some potential from them. It's really like mix and match, plug and pull, just figure it out with the bullpen. And that is something that I was thinking about, is that their pitching is probably very far behind. I believe Noah Schultz, I think his name is, in the minor leagues, one of their top prospects as a pitcher, and Hagen Smith potentially. Maybe they come up this year, maybe they come up next year, who knows. But I think the main takeaway from this video that you should have is that the White Sox, they have something to be excited about. Fans have something to be excited about, whether if it's watching Colson Montgomery bat 4 or 5 times a game, maybe Kyle Teal, maybe Edgar Cuero. It's probably a lot more fun to watch, even though 47-83, not a good record. Even though they're not very good, and they weren't good last year, and they weren't good the year before that. Maybe it's a little more fun to watch because hey, this Colson Montgomery guy, maybe he's an all-star for them next year. This Kyle Teal guy, maybe he's the future catcher, So I think they are building towards something. I think it might be if it's a few years down the line. Rebuilds take time. And especially when you're at the very, very bottom like the White Sox were last year, these rebuilds take time. But I do hope the Sox succeed. I usually end up rooting for teams that are bad. I do have my one favorite team that I don't, that I don't want to mention just to not be, biased. But I do end up rooting for teams that have struggled. I talked about in the Orioles video that, the Orioles were bad in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and they had some really bad years in there. And I was like, hey, these fans deserve to see a good team. Hopefully the Orioles can keep the good team that they have. And then I feel the same way about the White Sox. And I wasn't a big White Sox fan. I wasn't a really big fan of Tim Anderson. To be honest with you, that was probably most of it. But I felt bad for the White Sox and their fans when they had the 41 win season last year. And I hope that they can improve and maybe have a good team in a few years. So hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely like the video, subscribe, do all that stuff. I hope that everyone's been enjoying the videos. I know some of these videos have 1 or 2 views. I hope that one person or there's 2 people, whoever, I hope they enjoy these videos. Like I said in the first video, this is going to be a little bit of off. If you're here for the White Sox and you don't want to hear any of my personal stuff, you can click off the video now. But this is just to entertain whoever wants to see it. Maybe give some of my opinions, some knowledge that I have. I watch a lot of baseball. I've actually watched every single game of my team this year. I haven't watched all of them, like all 9 innings of all of them, because, you know, I have school. I do some odd jobs sometimes, so I don't watch all of them, but I've been able to catch an inning or 2 of every game, and most of the games I watch all of. I watch a lot of baseball, have a lot of opinions, and that's kind of what I want to do. I don't really get to share this a lot with other people. That's not my dad. I appreciate my dad, and he's really who got me into baseball, but I want to share it with more people than just him. So that's kind of what this channel is for. Hopefully, you know, it gets a few views. If I make a few extra dollars off this, then that would be amazing. I definitely don't mind that. But this is not going to be a job for me. It's supposed to be like a fun hobby, and right now it's a fun hobby. It is called Daily Baseball Videos, Parker's Daily Baseball Videos, but I don't know how daily it can be. I am starting school tomorrow. I do have an idea to talk about the Rangers' really good pitching staff. That could be an idea for me to do. That I'll hopefully get on. Maybe I'll do it tonight or after school tomorrow. It really depends. And my school days on Tuesdays and Thursdays are really busy. I think I mentioned this. I might have mentioned this in another video. It's like 8 to 5, 8 to 6 or so. I'm going to be at school for a long time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'll try and do what I can. I hope everybody enjoys the videos. Like I said, I hope that maybe 100 people end up viewing some of these videos. Again, not trying to become a super awesome, well-known YouTuber. I'm going to be a somewhat well-known YouTuber, a niche YouTuber. And again, if I make a few extra dollars off this, then that's cool. But if not, you know, it's just a hobby, and that's what it is. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Sorry for that little rant at the end, but I hope I can put a video out tomorrow and Tuesday and keep it a daily thing, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to with school and stuff like that. College is really stressful. I mean, anybody who's been to college knows that. So I hope you all enjoy this video about the White Sox again. Look out for a video about the Rangers either today or tomorrow, and I'll talk to you all again in another video. Goodbye.